Great sales teams don't run on hype, they run on systems. With systems, you can build a sales team that runs without you being by their side constantly. I've built and managed multiple 7 and 8 figure sales teams. I'm going to show you exactly how I've done it so you can build your sales team and steal it for yourself. You don't need to babysit your sales team for them to smash it. We're currently managing over $4 million of monthly revenue, and I'm thousands of miles away. And that's the power of systems. Most CEOs think they need to hire more reps and push harder. But without a system, you just multiply chaos.
Hey guys, it's Will. Just making this super quick testimonial for Usman and the team at Guided Growth. They've been absolutely fantastic to us. We've worked with them now for, I think, three or 4 or 5 months. And it's just such a joy to be able to work with it. I mean, they just solve all the problems. So if you need sales reps, if you need closers, if you need setters, if you need sales team managers, if you need someone to fractionally manage your sales team and your business, just work with Usman because they're the best. And I'll be working with Usman and the team for forever until I retire in a few years. But yeah, just forever. So highly recommended.
It's made me smile that. I think there's a difference between clients and evangelists. And evangelists are people that just go and promote your business for you. So we've got people like William Brown and many others that do all of our advertising for us. We're not having to spend as much as others to acquire customers because our own customers are going and raving about us to other people. And for Will Brown specifically, what we did over the last, I think, going on to 5 months now, the main thing that we did was when we started, we found this really good marketer who's great at making YouTube content, running ads, very good on the front end, just did not want to run his sales team anymore, did not want to do the day-to-day management. He wanted it out. And he could run the sales team. He's capable. He's already sold a business of 15 million in the past. So a very capable person. He knows time is important to him. He knows the time that he would invest in managing this team, he could be using elsewhere. So what he did was we spoke at his mastermind, and then we just started a process of auditing his business, understanding where his business is at. After an audit, we became his chief revenue officer, which is where we place ourselves next to the CMO and the CEO, and we guide the company to grow. So we will manage the sales manager, we will guide the sales team, we will train the sales team, we will handle all the sales operations, we'll handle a lot of the tech side. We do an enormous amount for businesses, especially a lot of these businesses that are growing now. Will be hitting around 1.3, 1.4 million every single month. So that amount of revenue, when you're managing these larger 8-figure companies, but we're able to do it with our systems remotely, and they're able to grow predictably. So we're able to grow these companies in a predictable way where we can say to Will, hey, if we do this action and hire this person and I increase the ad spend by this amount, we can increase your revenue by X amount next month. And when the business does those actions and follows our guidance, that's what a great team is. That's why we've been so successful. He's a great business owner. We know what we're doing on the sales side. We will hire, train the team. We will manage all of his recruiting, manage the sales manager, and everything is done for him.
Then evidently allows him to go to Bali, allows us to go to Barcelona and sales team from without you.
Yeah, none of it involves the CEOs, and the CEO is supposed to be a leadership role. It's supposed to be making the tactical decisions to grow the business, not managing the sales rep every day or doing sales calls. That's not a CEO's job. A chief executive officer is leading other managers. The role is not to do day-to-day function yourself. If you are, you're not a CEO. Most founders hire completely wrong. They think it's all about filling seats. 90% of the sales are often made by 10% of the people. The top 10% of sales reps drive 90% of the sales revenue. Your job is to be able to have a system to be able to source that talent and to be able to get them onboarded and hitting KPIs as quickly as possible. When you post a job ad, you're going to have all of these people apply.
And all these applications come in, and what most amateurs do is they'll find the first person because they're in a rush and say, you sound good, but you don't know what good looks like.
Yeah.
So how are you supposed to know which one to hire? What you're doing in a panic is just hiring the first sales rep or the appointments that you think will do the right job. And believe me, people even do it with directors and sales managers. But once I can find the right person and I can ask the right questions and I know exactly what to ask them, then I can move them into the next process and I can onboard them properly. But knowing what to ask and knowing the different stages is key. The first stage is always a culture test. So I would get any one of these people and I would quickly establish, is this a good fit for my company? 9% of these people might not be, but then I find the person who is. The next stage is a skills-based interview. The skills-based interview is where I ask competency-based questions. But if I said, oh, so how would you handle an objection like this? And how have you done it in the past? And what kind of results did you get in the past? When they explain the answer, most people don't know how to dig for more details. So they'll say, sure, sounds good. It sounds like you know what you're talking about. But salespeople are notoriously bullshitters. So you have to ask for more detail. So you have to be able to say, can you say specifically on when you'd got 50 sales that month, what you did exactly? And when they tell you what they did exactly on those 50 sales, you'll then say, how did you do it, step by step? Can you take me through the steps? Then you'll go into detail on one of those steps. Okay, when they talk about one of the steps, and in that step specifically, what did you do? Where did you click? What did you say? How did you follow up? When you find all those steps, you're now able to see if they know the detail, because you're able to see, is that what good looks like? Does the detail that they're giving you sound vague or does it sound clear? The other thing I always do in an interview is I always ask them to do a pitch for me. They'll do a pitch, and in that pitch, they might get it wrong or they might get it right. But I'll ask them to do it the second time, giving them some feedback for the first one. If they change how they did it instantly, I know they're coachable. So I'm trying to work out, are they coachable and have they done what they said they have done before? And if you can't find someone skilled, because you're just not in the market where you can get someone skilled in that area, you need to find someone incredibly coachable. So the more coachability you're testing for. Then with the onboarding is all around how can you create a system where they can learn everything that your business needs to do within 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We call ours a talent launch system. And a talent launch system is where we put a person who's new in sales rep or setter, sometimes sales manager, into a gamified system where they get points for everything that they need to do in the first month. When you sign your NDA, you get 1 point. When you close your first deal, you get 5 points. When you close your first 10 deals, you get 10 points. So depending on those behaviors and those outcomes, you score a certain amount of points. So then when I onboard the next person, I can say, if you beat the points of this previous person, I'll give you an extra $500. And you can quickly recognize, are they going to beat that previous person's performance? And then you're able to gamify it and then understand what good looks like, and then quickly catch out those people that aren't performing good, drop them, bring in the next person in. And that's how we're able to ramp up talent and make such crazy guarantees to our clients, because we have a system that works.
And naturally, salespeople are competitive, right? So they'll want to beat that last person.
And that's exactly why the gamified system works, because you're going to say to them, can you beat this previous person? Yeah. And if they are instantly saying, oh, I don't know how, they're just not a good fit for your business.
Yeah.
So it really sieves out the weak very quickly.
100%. And say, for example, took this crowd here, and there's, let's say, 200 people here, and they were all applying. On average, it's a numbers game. How many of these people, on average, would be a good fit? If you had all these people apply?
Not even 1%.
Not even 1%?
Not even 1%. Well, this is a general pool of people.
Yeah.
But the more specific I go, the wider, the more percentage I'm going to get of people. But I'm still able to see the competency within a group of strangers. And that's how you find the difference between small companies and big companies. Big companies can hire someone off the street and train them up because they have a system. Small companies need someone to come in really experienced, or else they don't grow. So what we call a growth engine is a combination of smaller engines that make up an entire business. So you think of your entire business as a big system, and it's got multiple engines inside it. So if there's a marketing engine, and the marketing engine is how you get paid advertising or organic advertising into leads, so into the CRM. That's what we class as a marketing engine. All the way to people who already have a system, who work with us, and they have something that they're already fulfilling. So most of the businesses that we actually work with, well, I would say all of them, have fulfillment already dialed in. So they could be an info business, they could be a SaaS business, and what they have got is they've got their journey with their customer. They could be selling coaching, they could be selling a product, service. They're fulfilling their clients. The main area that they need support on is this middle area, which is more the conversion. And most businesses just see it as a marketing engine, and then somebody sells, and then it goes into a fulfillment engine. But we actually make it far more detailed and far more structured so people can really understand it. Then you can also see where you're dropping the ball. So we have a setting engine, and this setting engine is the engine that links marketing to sales. Because in most businesses, when you hear the word appointment setter, they think, oh, that's sales. But in some industries, appointment setting is actually a lead generation activity. It's a marketing activity, because you've got the lead generated, but it's not booked into a sales call. So we actually set the setting engine in between marketing and sales, and we will find that a lot of businesses will have, let's say they have a funnel where you can book a call directly into the calendar. So they'll have a system where they can book, the marketing engine can book straight into the calendar. And that happens maybe 20, 30% of the time, maybe 40% of the time, where someone sees someone's marketing, either a paid ad or their YouTube, Instagram, they'll book directly into their sales calendar. But most people don't. Most people will put in an inquiry, but not book all the way. So we build out their setting engine, and then to link on to the closing engine, you also have a show rate engine, so for the people that don't show up. Like, we find a lot of businesses really struggle with this, so we build this out. Then a reactivation engine, which is when someone said no, what do you do? How do you get them back active again? So if we double clicked onto the setting engine, because this is the one where most people have it confused or don't have it fully understood.
And is the setting engine all inbound?
At times it could be outbound, but most of the time it's inbound. So it's inbound sales. So most of the businesses that we're talking about in a marketing engine, they've generated leads and they've come in through a paid ad or through organic. Think about, this is a simple example, but in a simple example, why do you need a setting engine? You need a setting engine because if you was to get 10 leads on a Monday and your appointment setter needs to know which list he should call first thing on a Monday. So he sees those leads and he knows the priority is to call those leads. But then once he's dialed them, let's say he's dialed them all at 9 a.m. Now it's 2 p.m. and another 5 leads have come in. Does he know who to dial first? So you'll find that the decision making of an appointment setter is they just dial whatever's on the screen. But for them to have specific lists to call in order of priority, those lists have to be made and structured for them. So if I showed you an inbound journey, it would be where a lead can come in. Let's say in this scenario it's from, let's say, organic or paid ads. There's obviously instantly an automation where it puts it into the CRM, and now the appointment setter is going to dial out. And it's a conditional environment. Sometimes people will answer, most of the time they don't answer. And then it moves through the different stages of the setting engine when it's now a discovery call, or they qualified or they disqualify them, and then move them through to move them into the salesperson's calendar. But this is simple for most businesses that will generate a couple of leads a day. It's not complex. But what about when you've got multiple funnels, multiple lists, and you've got a growing business? This is where most people drop the ball. And what we class as sales inefficiency, when you have the people, or you think you know how to hire the people, but the system has let them down, which we call as sales ops. So there's 2 parts to sales. There's sales management, how to manage your people, then you have sales ops. So let's say this business is running a VSL funnel in this scenario. A lead comes in, and when it's now answering those questions online to say how much money they make or what they do, it's either going to be disqualified or they book into the closer's calendar. If they book into the closer's calendar over here, great, it's done, because now they're in the calendar and it's gone from the marketing engine to the closing engine. It skipped the setting engine. But most leads don't book into the calendar. They inquire the first stage, but they don't book all the way. So what we do is we design, where does it go? It gets aggregated into a list. And if they did not book the call after that, So if they do not book a setting call, some businesses don't have it, they need to just call the lead. So it gets delegated to a round robin in the back end of a CRM. You can now delegate it to a certain person. After it's delegated to a certain person, let's say there's multiple setters in the scenario.
Yeah.
Now it'll activate any correspondence, which is, let's say, an email sequence that goes out. So someone opted into a specific funnel to buy something or to inquire about something. They didn't book a call, so now they're going to receive a bunch of emails to say, hey, you missed this, or you remember this, or giving you more information, and just indoctrinating you into their business so you're inclined to buy. After that, it's added into a dialing queue. When you look at this sign here, this type of shape is for anything that's automated. So if you look on the left-hand side, there's a legend, and you'll quickly make out what each of these things mean. And after it goes into a dialing queue, now you're used to go into a specific list. Some businesses will have lead scoring. So depending on the strength of a lead, let's say if this business only wants people who make more than 50K a month, and a lead comes out and makes 5K a month, it might go into a very different list compared to someone who says 50K a month, because it's scored differently. So we call these P1, P2, P3 lists. So priority 1 list is a hot leads list. So then the appointment setter is ready to dial hot lists as soon as they come in. And we want a lead to be dialed within 2 to 3 minutes of it inquiring.
Right.
The reason why we're so quick on dialing these leads, like recently with a couple of the sales teams, they've given feedback saying, we're calling leads so quick that they're still watching the VSL video. They're still on the landing page. And we're able to do that because of the list. And what happens is they'll make that call and they'll say, oh, hey, just calling you to see that you're inquiring about X product or service. The business owner or the person who's the lead will say, oh, I'm actually watching the VSL right now. And they'll say, oh, I can talk you through it and I can book you in manually. So you just take control of the entire situation. So there's all these different lists, depending on their no-show, depending on how much of their priority are. We listen to the business's needs and we design those lists. And once the setter has called people from those lists, were they qualified, were they now an SQL?
Yeah.
So we move someone from being an MQL into an SQL. So we move them from being a marketing qualified lead, which they did earlier on in the stage by answering the right questions, to a sales qualified lead. And that's the whole function of the setting engine, moving someone through the different stage. And if they're a sales qualified lead, they can now be booked into a closing engine. And the closing engine, like if we give you an example of a closing engine here, this is an example of a closing engine. And a closing engine would start where a call is booked. Did they show up? And if they did show up, yes, then the call continues. But if they don't show up, now it activates the show rate engine or the reactivation engine. And these triggers and systems are put in place. What happens is most marketers are really good at building automation sequences, attracting the lead, but they're not good at moving the lead through the sales process because they need to design a system that involves people. Marketers are really good at creative and analytical skills. It's a unique skill. To be a good media buyer or marketer, they are a combination of really good at creatives and ads, and really good at angles and copy, and really good at the analytical side. So they're good at data, but they want to control everything with that data just through numbers and automations. But in sales, to maximize sales, you need people. But to maximize those people, you need a system. So we systematize everything that people do within the business. And that's how we build all these different engines. Marketing engine, setter engine, closer engine, show rate engine, reactivation engine. And most businesses that we work with will already have all these in place. So they have a fulfillment engine done and an upsell engine. And there's the rare occasion where we will then dial these front two in, setting engine, closing engine, and then we will move on to an upsell engine because most businesses have the core mechanism of sales in place, but now they need to double their profits, and how we double their profits is by adding a back-end offer in. When we design this properly for a business, it's designed in a way where that business can now grow in a systematic way. Once the foundations are laid with a system, now I can hire people to go onto that system. So the reason why we have so many sales teams, like we're currently managing around $4 million worth of revenue every month. $4 million of revenue every month being managed, like even right now, without me even being there.
Yeah.
So people are running that system. Most founders who are making 50K, 100K, 200K, can't seem to step away from their computer for a second because they don't understand how can this run without them. Well,
and if they do step away, it falls apart.
Yes. And we design it in a way where we can prove that we can do it because we're doing it actively every month. And every business owner that we work with is giving us raving reviews to say how much their business is growing without them being involved. All because the engines are designed. And when the engines are designed, you can now put people in with clear SOPs and says, this is what you need to do.
Going back to when I was an SDR, even the smaller things, like we had our internal CRM, but the systems weren't built out like this. So for example, like when you showed about people no-showing and trying to get them rebooked, there was a lot of instances where we'd book an appointment for a client, there'd be a no-show, and then they'd just get lost in the CRM, and then you wouldn't rebook them, and then it would just be another lead that's lost.
Yeah, and that business would have paid for that lead.
Yeah.
So it's just been a waste of money. So it hurts their cost of acquisition, and it also hurts their revenue as well. So it hurts them on both sides. Without culture, your best reps churn. With it, you build loyalty, standards, and pride in performance. You know, just like the Sagrada Familia, for over 100 years, it represents strong culture. And when something's built on culture, it lasts. When you think about most sales teams, the reason why people can't maintain staff, can't maintain people in their business is because there's no culture. And culture is defined by how people behave when the leader isn't there. So does that same behavior stay when the leader is there compared to when they're not? And you can build this by having a clear mission, which is everyone knows why we're doing something. So we have a core mission in our business, which is all around building great leaders. So if people understand the mission, you're going to find that it's really easy for everyone to be rowing in the same direction. Then when it comes to vision, vision is where you're going. So do you have a clear plan for the next 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years? We know 10 years from now, exactly the company that we want to be. Then we work backwards. Where do we want to be 5 years from now? Where do we want to be 3 years from now? Where do we want to be 1 year from now? And it's really easy to pinpoint exactly what is the next step, what is the constraint. So you have your mission, which is the why. Vision is where you're going. Then you have your values. And your values, a lot of the times when you have a founder, that person who has strong values can bring them into the business. Like one of our core values is selling with integrity. If someone doesn't need something, we don't sell it to them. So we carry our values into all of these businesses. So every business that kind of trusts us and works with us, we share our values with them. And if they're aligned, they're going to want to work with us. And they tend to get great results because we're both aligned in what we want to do culturally.
Same goal.
Yeah, exactly that. And most businesses don't ever think about handing over these mission, vision, and values to their staff members. What they're doing is they just hire based upon a competency. Oh, he's good, he's skilled, or she's skilled. What you need to do is make sure people are aligned with their mission, because if a sales rep's not performing, it's very easy to manage them and say, hey man, you need to hit your KPIs, you need to be able to get 20 sales a day. It's a lot harder to get them aligned to a mission, which is why we're doing something and collectively moving towards it. But when you get them aligned to that mission, you're going to find that they go above and beyond for you. If you call a sales rep and ask them to close a deal for more money on a Friday evening, they might not do it. If you tell them on how it's aligned to their mission and how it's aligned to a bigger overall mission on how you're going to change the world, it's far more important.
Have you seen instances where people hit short-term goals because they sacrifice some of their values and missions and visions, but then get screwed in the long run because of it?
There's businesses that will get to 100, 200k a month, then have to tear the business down because it wasn't built the right way. The business owner did not think about anything to do with why they're doing it. And then some of these guys will lose purpose. They'll earn a couple of $100,000, think, okay, now I could buy a Lambo, what should I do with my money now? They don't know why they've done it.
Yeah.
And that's where people feel lost and discouraged. But when there's a clear mission, it's far easier. One of the key things that we build is tracking systems, because if you can't track it, you can't tell if it's good or bad. So this is how we actually build out all of the tracking systems for some of the 7 and 8 figure businesses that we run. So what we do is, we first will always measure their trailing 90-day numbers. So we need to get a baseline of what they actually have been doing. So what we'll do is, we'll ask that business owner to gather data for the last 3 months. And you'll be surprised the amount of business owners that need support with this, but it's okay because we'll be able to dig in to what they've been doing and find out everything from top of funnel to bottom of funnel. So what we look at is the ad spend, how many leads that generated them, bad data, junk data from those leads, how many outbound calls were made, how many of them were connected, how many of them booked a discovery call, outbound or inbound, because some businesses will have an inbound discovery call.
Right.
How many total discovery calls got booked or completed, so how many of them showed up if they did inbound based calls. How many total closing calls were taken inbound or outbound. How many closing calls were completed, aka showed up. How many offers were made. How many deals were closed. And then how much revenue generated. And then finally, cash collected. When we can find that out for the last 3 months, so we'll get obviously the previous month, the month before that, and the third month that has just gone, we'll then be able to establish their baseline. With this business, now we can say, okay, this is where your 90-day averages. So in this example, the 90-day average is 170K. So now we've got a 90-day average, we can now set a clear goal to say, right, let's break the 200 mark. Or if you're at 400, let's break the 600 mark. Yeah. How do we do that? So what we do is, each week, the sales manager, the CEO, we will report on data with them. So for some of our advisory clients, we will actually do this for them. For some of the consulting clients, we'll actually support them building it. So they report every single week on what they've done that week, from ad spend to cash collected. When they report each week, that then gets put into the baseline tracker. So now what we've done is we've built out a system to be able to work out, are they on pace or off pace for their current targets? And we can really look at what are all the metrics of that business. So what we look at are metrics within sales, which are your velocity metrics. So I'll break these down for you so you can understand them. Velocity metrics in sales are defined as the percentage of leads that you're getting, how much are bad. We've seen people add a new campaign in on Facebook. All of a sudden, 12% or 15% of their leads are absolute junk. Sometimes 40% junk. But we need to be able to see if something is happening where you're getting a lot of junk data, because that could be an issue. Then we look at how many calls got connected, percentage, how many leads booked into a call, or how many discovery calls showed up, or what's your offer percentage, what's your closing percentage. What most business owners do is they'll kind of know their closing percentage, but then that doesn't give them a lot of levers to pull, because what they'll do is think, my close rate is high, I need more sales training. If my offer rate is low, I need to give more offers. What we look at is the entire sales system in totality. Then we can work out each conversion, and we have a clear KPI for every single conversion so we can see if they're off pace or on pace. We work with a lot of great marketers, and these marketers will know what's broken. Is it their landing page? Is it their funnel? Is it their ad? Is their click-through rate too low? But they don't know what's going on with sales because they can't build a system around it. So just the same as we build all those growth systems, we also build out all these tracking systems. And then we're able to oversee these businesses. And some of the businesses that we run for their sales teams, our sales manager will just simply complete this every week. And then we report on that data and we see growth. After all that is done, we actually just look at one key metric, which is how much is the increase each month from the total amount you're spending on ads to the total amount that you're getting back. And of course, some businesses will have a metric where they're doing more organic. So they'll have a lower cost of acquisition, but we still want to measure cost of acquisition in two ways. So we look at cost of acquisition as in ad spend, but then you have a terminology which is fully loaded cost of acquisition. Fully loaded cost of acquisition is including your marketing staff, including all of your software cost. So then you have two different terms for cost of acquisition, and we can measure both of them and then really work out, is that business profitable? In terms of ROAS, what we look at is if the business is under a 1.13 ROAS, they're making a loss. On cash collected, so their cash collected ROAS in the first month. So we really drill down in data in a very deep way, but then we're able to guide these businesses by looking at sales growth week on week, month on month, and then each quarter they'll set a new baseline to their baseline tracker. In each quarter, when we do a big quarterly review, we will compare from the previous quarter to the next quarter, how much did we grow? What was the constraint? And most businesses work in weeks and days, and they kind of let the quarters disappear. When we work in weeks and we break it down per metric, we look at it per month, we then can look back at a whole quarter and think, what could we have improved? Well, how can we increase spend even more to grow this offer or to grow this business even more at a faster pace. So this is some of the tracking systems that we implement. Of course, there's so much in terms of manual data the setters do and closers do and managers report on. There's reporting in terms of how to manage the team and their behaviors. But this is one of the core baseline trackers that we use. So we give this to some of our advisory businesses that spend over $30,000 to $40,000 with us. If you like this tracker for free, click the link in the free community, join, and we'll send it to you straight away.
Great sales teams don't run on hype, they run on systems. When the right systems are in place, performance becomes predictable and you're free to focus on growth. And that's how you build profitable sales teams that run on systems, not your time. And it's why we're able to help CEOs build a business that runs without them. Now that you've got the right systems in place, you need to be the right leader to be able to lead your teams on these systems. So click on this side and you'll be able to go to the next video, which will show you all about how to become the great leader.